Pushing the front line forth with a tremendous force, switching the way for Panzer cars, busting the line of fire, thrust into hostile land, tanks leading the way, claiming the fame. They are the Panzer elite, born to compete, never retreat. Living ahead, always ahead, fed by your dread. Panzer elite, born to compete, never retreat.
Outpost destroyed.
Hello, and welcome back to the Starlight Relay. Today is Faction Friday, and I will be getting into that, but first, I gotta do the statistics. The minor order ends in 62 hours, and it is operations against the automatons on Classa. We are at 41% of that, with an expected end result of 120%. The major order, ending in 3 days, is to liberate Valmox, which is at 1%. It is day 716 of the Galactic War with 93,000 divers currently active. 19,000 on the Terminate front, 41,000 on the Automaton front, and 29,000 on the Illuminate front. The Galactic Impact modifier remains the same, making diving in groups necessary. Valmox at 1% liberation with 28,000 divers. Moving on to the Faction Spotlight. Today's Faction Spotlight is the 55th Explosive Ordnance Division. Headed up by Bushman, Ninny, AJ Ryder, and Mobius, the 55th Explosive Ordnance Division is a faction that loves nothing more than to scrap automatons. Founded in a battle on Ballistica against the Incineration Corps, they struggled a brutal slaughter as they tried to win. Eventually, 4 super destroyers came together: the SES Flame of Freedom, the SES Will of Wrath, and the SES Diamond of Liberty, and finally, the SES Wings of Mercy. The Helldivers deployed at the same time slaughtered together, carrying a higher rate of success than they did previously. Eventually, they did have to withdraw, but the mission left them with, it left them with some ideas. So, they came together and they formed a council. This council agreed it would be in their best interest to establish a new faction and centered it around demolition and explosives. Eventually, the Battle of Super Earth ensued, and they answered the call. One of the first boots to deploy on the grounds of Super Earth, they went on a fury and vengeance against the Illuminate, pushing harder than even the Illuminate could. As we were successful, the SES Diamond of Liberty and the SES Wings of Mercy were awarded handsomely for their very, very useful efforts in this battle. They followed several major orders and grew from 4 to 12 divers. Eventually, the Incineration Corps returned, and the fuel of vengeance drove them to go fight them. Orbital's anti-tank rounds embedded themselves across the planet, and vengeance prevailed, celebrating with pyrotechnics and CO1 permits. Their fleet grew, eventually, after a few more battles, from 12 to 20, and they decided that they would need a home. After a close vote, they eventually settled on Ballistica as a base of operations, honoring the Helldivers who fell on the planet's surface. Bounty after bounty, they collected resources to help build this base and keep their super destroyers running. Eventually, the call came to scout and liberate Oshane. Again, one of the first boots on the ground, never losing their spark. They fought, and Oshan was liberated. During the rest in between, they were presented with better strategies, which they soon adopted. So now they dropped down immediately to a fortress and blasted to hell and back. After a while, the call came for the lava planets. They fought hard and again found themselves in face of their enemies, the incineration core. With a strengthened resolve, they fought furiously and won the planets. They, however, may or may not have snuck a few platinum bars home with them, but hey, that's a secret. Eventually, they were noticed by several other broadcasts, one of them being Super Salute, and commendation was given. They now stand tall with over 70 super destroyers ready at a moment's notice. The leader has also requested a personal spotlight on his lore, so here's, without further ado, the lore of Bushman. Beginning as a member of the Colonial Defense Force on Marfark, he heard the tragedy of Malevolent Creek and the return of the Illuminate cult. Doing well in training and deployments, he rose to the rank of a sergeant and earned a Class A citizenship. However, the automaton menace eventually reached home, and he was given the order to flee alongside his family to Super Earth. He was fortunate enough to run into General Brash on the way out, and was recommended to the Helldiver Corps. He began his training, soaring with pride, and being assigned to the SAS Flame of Freedom. His first deployment was to the Illuminate Front, evacuating citizens for relocation just as he had been. However, his anger for the automatons would lead him back to that front, efficiently scrapping the clankers with his friends, forming the 55th. When the incineration came, he, of course, answered with nothing less of true democracy. And one last notable event he wishes I will share is that he was among the first boots on the ground to the city of Remembrance. That city would be lost, but Super Earth would stand strong. And one more announcement they'd like me to share. After 5.5 months, the 55th is calling an end to their material acquisition for the base on Ballistica. The submissions are only valid for a few more days, so please go contribute and help them establish their home base. Construction crews will begin immediately after. That's all from me today. The Nightmare, signing off.